And tell us what you think about our hot topics. What do you think, Gary? Would you ever call, flatter me, and send a compliment? Send the middleman to give your compliments?
No. I do it myself because I think coming from the source is much better than coming from somebody else.
I'm with you.
You know, it's just one of those things in life. You'd rather hear it from that person.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have a feeling at the end of this hour you're going to get lots of compliments on this recipe today. Gary Sakaitis from the Inn and Garden Cafe on Nanconk on the Eastern Shore is going to make poached salmon, and we've kind of been touting this as a healthy way to cook. And before we talk technique, why don't you let folks know the ingredients that we're going to be using today, because the folks love to follow along at home.
Well, I have some nice wild-caught salmon, Atlantic salmon that came in. It's really fresh, really nice. We're doing a poached salmon, and what we do is to keep it away from the oils and everything else. We season our water. We have like 3 cups of water, a cup of white wine, and from our garden that we have, I have some fresh rosemary, some fresh thyme in there with some lemon, pinch of salt and pepper. And this, once you poach the fish, will give it a lot of flavor in itself.
Yeah.
You know, you can, after you're done, put any type of sauce on that you might like, but just to keep it on a more simpler, no calories, more healthier way to eat. So that's what we'll be doing, and we'll be doing some vegetables that will be steamed and sautéed in some oil.
And you've got this on kind of like a medium-high setting, so it's not like a rolling boil, but I mean it's bubbling up.
Right, and that's just basically to have it ready. But it's the whole thing that you don't want to put it in a really fast boiling water, because fish is delicate. You don't need it breaking apart on you, and it'll cook in plenty of time.
Okay.
So we keep it at a low simmer.
Can we drop it in?
Oh, of course we can.
Okay, I'm going to let you get started on that, Gary. But you made a point to say that this was wild-caught salmon. And I think people in recent years have gotten a little bit confused about which is better when they see the option of buying, whether it's salmon or tilapia or anything else, farm-raised versus wild-caught.
Well,
so what's the rule?
Well, there's a big difference, and it's hard to explain to people, but a lot of things that are farm-raised tend to swim in their own water, which is where feces and everything else goes, and that's the problem. When you get something that's wild-caught, it's out in the ocean, it's fresher, and it hasn't been swimming around. And that kind of, I want to say pollutant, but that's just what it is.
It is what it is. Now, but what about when it comes to things like mercury or pollutants that are in the natural environment? Is there any advantage to getting farm raised?
Yes, there can tend to be, but when you deal with reputable organizations, a water side or something like that has the fresh fish, they're very good at you're not getting things that aren't supposed to be caught in the wrong areas, that your fish isn't correct. So that's the benefits of it, the to and fro. But like you said, if it's farm raised and it's grown, that no mercury, nothing like that, but it's still swimming in its own.
However, right, we don't need to say anything.
Right, so you take you take it whichever way you want, but so we prefer the wild caught.
All right, wild caught salmon. Now going in there. So are you going to turn this? Because I can see it's starting to cook.
Oh yeah, in a minute or two I'm going to end up covering it a little bit, so it'll basically, the steam in itself will cook it right through and everything will be fine to go. And then we'll take it out. We're going to have some blanched vegetables with carrots and asparagus, which is tough. So we're going to blanch those off a little bit, and then we're going to saute it in some olive oil. Very little calories in that. And you can tend to, a lot of people might skip that and just do the steamed vegetables, put them on their plate, and you're even healthier than you were before.
This is a good recipe either for folks who are just kind of trying to watch it, or I haven't mentioned, there hasn't been any mention of sodium or anything yet.
No,
some people have to be on very strict diets.
And that's where you can do that yourself. And the whole thing is just what you said. There are a lot of people who at home, I think sometimes we get into doing dishes that, when am I ever going to do that at home? Well, guess what? Get yourself some nice fish. Get yourself some fresh herbs, a pan of water. Your fish is done, and almost anybody can do it.
Okay.
So this is the point of it all also.
All right. Well, we will let you go ahead and finish that up. We'll move on to our vegetables when we come back. In the meantime, meteorologist Jeremy Wheeler is in with that lovely complimenting tie to Kate. All right, we're back in New Hampton Roadshow Kitchen with Chef Gary Sakaitis from the Inn and Garden Cafe on Nanconk this morning. We're making poached salmon. So how do you know when this is done? Is it kind of by firmness?
Yes, I was waiting for you to ask me that question. A lot of it is by firmness. If you take your tongs or your spatula at home and you touch it, it's become more firm. Some people like their fish maybe a little bit undercooked.
Yeah, especially salmon too. You can leave it a little opaque.
Well, that's just it, and it's it's a lot more tender and more juicy. And what will happen is as the juices start to come out, they start to turn opaque or a white color, which is basically it's
another sign that
it's done or it's almost done.
Okay.
And like I said, according to how you like your fish done, that's how you would do it.
Now, you said some of the juices of the fish come out. How come it doesn't take in a lot of water when you cook it that way?
Well, first of all, it's a fresh fish.
Okay.
Okay. There are a lot of items when you people go to a store and buy a frozen fish and they start to cook it. A lot of water comes out because it's fast frozen flesh. But the fish doesn't contain a lot of water itself.
Okay.
So this way, it's a fresh. It cooks basically. So now it gets thicker and it's not getting absorbed by the water. And what's happening is with the poachedness and the herbs and the lemon, it's flavoring it.
Right.
So this way, like I said, you don't need to put anything else on it, and you're good to go.
Is salmon what you would recommend for poaching? Because you don't hear too many other kinds of fish being poached. Could you do this with any fish, or is there something about the texture or the oil of salmon that makes it?
Well, if you were to do it with, let's say, a flounder, which is more flakier, it might tend to fall apart on you.
Thinner.
So you want to use more of a steak fish. I mean, you could even use a swordfish. You can use, a nice haddock, something that's a nice thick fish.
Okay.
Which it'll tend to stay together better for you.
Maybe mahi-mahi.
There you go. There you go. That's really nice. It's really nice together.
All right, let's move on to our vegetables now. You're going to use asparagus and carrots, two vegetables that would take a long time to get tender if you were just going to saute them.
Yeah, that's the thing. They'd be very crunchy, especially carrots. So you want to, the carrots I've already blanched off a little bit for about 5 minutes and cooled them. And now the asparagus we're going to take and put in. And the asparagus is really 2 to 3 minutes because by the time it's done, you cool it off.
Yeah.
And then you're going to saute it. You still want it to have a little bit of a crunch without being overcooked on you and becoming mushy.
But when you blanch it, again, not a full boil.
No, it doesn't have to. What you tend to, as it starts to blanch, you have tenderness on the heads of the asparagus, something like that, which now you have a rolling boil, and you can tend to lose some of the heads. It'll fall apart, and it doesn't look nice when it comes out. And when you present it on a plate, you want things to look eye-appealing first before you get it.
Okay, so after these are finished blanching, and you said after you blanch the carrots, you cooled them. Is that another important step to let the vegetables cool down before you saute them?
Unless you're going to do them right away.
Okay.
But otherwise, let's say I'm not going to do this for a few minutes. I want everyone to taste it. I don't want it to overcook because they'll keep cooking as long as they're hot.
Okay.
Okay, and now what you do is you cool them off. It stops the cooking process. Now we're ready to go into it and saute these. They'll be ready to go. Just sauteed, a minute and a half just to warm them up, and you're good to go.
So you could actually, if you're having a dinner party or something and trying to get as much prep done as possible, you can actually do the blanching and cooling.
Exactly, and that's what I was trying to show
dinner.
for the people here, that the carrots took a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And this I'll be draining off and cooling it off, and we'll be ready to go.
All right. We'll put the finishing touches on it in our next segment. Right now, though, it is time to talk about Hollywood. All right, back in the Hampton Roadshow kitchen with Chef Gary Sakaitis from the Inn and Garden Cafe on the Eastern Shore in Onancock this morning. We're making poached salmon and our vegetables. You've shown us already a couple of neat tricks this morning, not just the technique for poaching the salmon, but also if you're going to use the really firm vegetables, to blanch them first and then saute them.
Yeah, it's something that's really hard on the teeth sometimes. A lot of people like some raw items, but I suggest blanching like the carrots just for a little bit, and now we'll saute them off.
Okay.
And if you'd like, you'd put a little bit of olive oil in the pans.
Okay. Is this a favorite up there at the Garden Inn and Cafe?
Yes, it is.
Okay. How's things going up there? What's happening around the inn this time of year? It's
well,
a nice time
we're
of year.
putting up our new carriage house.
Cool.
Our new building we put up for parties, meetings, weddings, which are already booked and we're not even done yet. So it's going really well.
Wow.
But we're quite excited about it, and it's taken another step for the bed and breakfast.
Excellent.
Now you can place one of these in each pan.
Okay.
Just be careful on yourself. Pans are a little warm.
All righty. And you are also taking part in our Signature Chefs event for the Poached Dimes.
Yes. Quite excited about that.
This is weekend already. Sunday night.
It's come up really fast, and it's just, anything to benefit the kids, anything to help them. What a great, organization to be part of.
Oh, yeah. March of Dimes is fantastic. And I'll be there Sunday night. Nicole Livas will be there as well. We are co-hosting the event, so we look forward to that.
Oh, wow. There'll be a lot of fun.
We've had a lot of fun kind of leading up to it, because many of our cooking guests in the recent weeks have been the signature chefs that are coming on to do their thing. It's a little bit of a friendly competition, isn't it?
It really is. You get to meet different chefs from around the area that you don't normally get to be with, to see what they have, and just basically just to talk and talk shop and afterwards sit down and get to know one another. So now as it comes, different times coming down, you can help one another out.
Yeah.
So it's really an opportunity that it doesn't come around enough. It raises a lot of money for the the organization, and it's something great to be part of.
Well, I mean, and if folks aren't aware, I mean, it is more than just an event to come and taste the food. There'll be a silent auction, some great packages that each of the restaurants that are sending chefs. What can folks win for the Garden Inn and Cafe, the Inn Garden Cafe?
Well, what we have done, I know they're had put together the package, but what we had done this past year was we offered bed and breakfast with dinner for 4 nights. They got to go golfing, private golf course.
Oh man!
Yes, it was just great. They had, matter of fact, they had left and then they came back again because they had such a good time, and they had said to us, we'll be down there again.
Perfect.
So it's like I said, just to raise the money for the kids, and the package that the owners have put together yet, I'm really not all filled in.
Probably not allowed to tell me, or you'd have
well,
to
no, it's got to be a
something.
surprise. Otherwise, people might be there wanting to bid on it beforehand.
I got you. All right, all that information about the event is at thehamptonroadshow.com too. By the way, meantime, Katie is with our studio audience.